Hello, America. I don't usually do this kind of thing, but I was walking down the hall in the Vatican, and I saw Cardinal Funghi in the computer lab. He was playing this game, and I thought that was strange because Cardinal Funghi, well, he's a kind of a Windows 95 guy, and ever since those warp commercials, the nuns they got every machine running OS 2. Cardinal Fungi, he calls that the OS2 heresy. He's kind of looking for NT to be like a ecumenical movement. Anyway, Cardinal Fungi was playing this game called Afterlife. It's a sort of like a Sim City meets Dante's Inferno. It's so good that I'm a figure that God's going to sue George Lucas for plagiarism. I said, don't you think God ought to send down one of his attorneys to shake George up? But the Cardinal Fungi, he says, I don't think God keeps his attorneys up there. So anyway, I get hooked on these God games. And I ask Cardinal Fungi where I might be able to find some more. And he gives me this worn out copy of a Computer Gaming World magazine, the one with the crosshairs drawn over Johnny Wilson's face. And then he drew the Pope's mitre on the top of Martin Cerulus' head. It's probably a good idea. I saw another one and he needed a haircut anyway. Anyway, I learned so much that it's a real honor to be the Monsignor of the ceremonies for this year's Premier Awards. And this guy, Cardinal Fungi, explained to me that Premier means number one. That's the best, the top of the class, head of the class, just like John Paul. He's the number one. I mean, he's the best. I really mean that. He's not the first, but he is the best. There was already one of John Paul before him, and if you really count the right and add all of the Johns up, because there was like at least 23, and all of the Pauls up to the sixth, and then you add in the first of John Paul, you're going to get to somewhere around the 30. And you know what the Cardinals have said in the 60s, never trust any pope over 30. Well, anyway, we have more than 30 finalists for this year's award, and we want to get right to it. So if you want to go straight to the pre-awards festivities, just to click on the image of the Monsignor, and you can get right to the party. Otherwise, you just click and go right to the main menu. Everything will be just like it usually is. We are so excited to be here. I haven't been so excited since Cardinal Provercati lied to me about the Sacred Sisters of the Au Natural. It was supposed to be this convent in the south of France, but don't go there. There's no there. Anyway, we're here at the pre-awards ceremony. It's where they give the awards for technical achievements. All of the really big celebs are here, including the oldest script keeper who is going to give out the first award.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. We're here to toast the Technoghoul Awards for this year. I've been looking over the screenshots and decomposing a special song for the winners. The only problem with these products, of course, is that they've undertaken getting the bugs out instead of in. I really dig the first one. It's called an SDK. Sounds more like a semi-automatic weapon than a software product. Let's raise our glasses and offer a big skull to the winner. Here's Computer Gaming World's Technoghoul editor to present this award.
Imagine the potential of hassle-free installation, faster graphics, instant connectivity, and the ability to always have a driver for your sound, graphics, and joystick controllers. That's the promise that the Windows 95 Software Developers Kit is just beginning to fulfill. The special award for technical achievement goes to Microsoft's DirectX team for the Windows 95 game's SDK. Every flight simulator makes a valiant attempt to model the plane, maximum speeds, turning radii, climb rates, munitions, and of course the scatter pattern on impact. These are par for the course. Our next winner was the first flight sim to model the atmosphere as well as the capabilities of the plane. With wind effects, temperature inversions, and the most realistic flight sequences imaginable, we offer the Special Artistic Award for Physical Modeling to Looking Glass Technologies for Flight Unlimited. Just about every year, some type of advance is made in game controllers. Now, they're more versatile and more ergonomic than ever before. In the past, most advances in game controllers have been to accommodate the fast-changing world of flight sims. This year, the PC finally got equal standing with the console machines in terms of meeting the needs of action gamers. Our award winner is as responsive as a gamepad, but more comfortable to hold for long periods and can accommodate 4 players. The special award for hardware achievement goes to Advanced Gravis for its Gravis Grip controller.
Thanks, Dave. Those awards should kill them. Speaking of someone who's already dead, we return you to Guido Sardonic.
Well, that's about it for the pre-award ceremony. It's now time for the big show. We got a big surprise for you during the main ceremony. Have a hostess for this part of the ceremony who makes Mary Hart look like a Groucho Marx. Speaking of my Uncle Groucho, he once presented an award in his pajamas. How it got in his pajamas, I'll never know. Of course, that's irrelevant, and an irrelevant never forgets. And it's old jokes like that which force us to leave this pre-ceremony and get on with something a little bit more dignified. Here are Johnny Wilson, CGW's editor-in-chief, sometimes it's pronounced idiot in chef, and Charlotte the Panther, CGW's newest editorial staffer, to host this year's official Premier Awards ceremony.
As Father Guido Sardonic made clear in an earlier segment, Premier means number 1, top of the heap, a number 1, first place. Except for the Game of the Year and special awards given in an earlier ceremony, the Premier Awards in each category are decided by an editorial vote, based on advances in gameplay, artistic merit, game challenge, and popular acceptance. The Game of the Year is considered to be a game which is so outstanding that it transcends its gaming genre and appeals to gamers on multiple levels. Presenting the award for Action Game of the Year is CGW Technical Editor Dave Salvatore.
Action games are the ones with an emphasis on hand-eye coordination, reflexes, and usually stress fast play over story or strategy. This year's finalists for Action Game of the Year are Electronic Arts and Origin Systems for Crusader, No Remorse, extreme special effects, marvelous backstory, and a unique viewing perspective that make this an innovative title. LucasArts for Dark Forces, with a Doom-like engine and a storyline that supplements the Star Wars mythos. This is the kind of Star Wars game we've always dreamed of. id and Raven Software for Hexen, special effects that outdate Heretic, fast action, multiplayer functionality, and creative use of poultry make this an action gamer's game. And Electronic Arts Bullfrog production for Need for Speed. Destruction and smooth play on multiple platforms make this a must-have for any serious action gamer.
And the winner is
Crusader, No Remorse. Once again, the folks at Origin Systems have captured a category with unique perspectives, solid new technology, and an ability to do what they said couldn't be done, put action gamers in a satisfying storyline.
Before going any further, I'd like to offer a few words on the editorial philosophy of...
All right! Quite enough! Sorry, you've transcended the art of good taste, and you must be silenced. Now for something completely different, a voice you want to listen to.
Presenting the award for Adventure Game of the Year is Editor-in-Chief Johnny Wilson.
Adventure games, of course, are those games in which you control an alter ego and move through a storyline or sequence of events, and where puzzle solving often takes precedence over conversation and combat. The nominees for Adventure Game of the Year are Capstone and Dreamforge Entertainment for Chronomaster, bringing the late Roger Zelazny's vision to life with beautiful 3D rendering, challenging puzzles, and a delightful pace. Sierra Online for The Beast Within, Gabriel Knight 2, an extremely well-written story, beautiful interlacing of photography and digital characters, solid acting in the full-motion video, and solid puzzles which make this a brilliant product. MGM Cyber Dreams and the Dreamers Guild for I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Great puzzles, a marvelous use of Harlan Ellison's inspiring fiction, and surreal pacing make this a most unique adventure game. Sanctuary Woods for The Riddle of Master Lu. Classic adventure game puzzles, a rich historical environment, well-written story, and just the right animated touches make The Riddle of Master Lu a marvelous entertainment experience. And Spectrum Holobyte for Star Trek The Next Generation, A Final Unity. Brilliant voice acting, intriguing game design, and a story as compelling as the series itself add Star Trek The Next Generation to this worthy list of finalists. Capstone
And the winner of the Adventure Game of the Year is...
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. David Sears' game design, based on Harlan Ellison's fictional universe and characters, provided the most innovative game challenge of the year. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream contains puzzles like you've never seen in an adventure game, and an emotional punch that will keep you thinking past the game's denouement.
And now for something completely different. An award with no joke.
For the first time in our 14-year history, we are recognizing significant achievements in the category of classics and puzzles. Everyone's familiar with classics, old standbys and parlor games like chess, solitaire, or Trivial Pursuit, long abused on the computer but now coming into their own. Likewise, in puzzle games, we finally have challenges that might finally pull us away from Tetris. Connections might resemble an adventure game, but it's the purest of puzzle games. There's no plot to get in the way of the puzzle solving. The clever and engaging conundrums recall the sense of wonder and enjoyment of the TV show on which the game is based, and a healthy dose of James Burke and his unique views on history, science, and philosophy, and how they all connect, is worth the price of the game all by itself. Multiple intelligence theory. Sounds pretty dry, doesn't it? Not quite what you'd expect from a finalist in puzzle games. Thankfully, the lost mind of Dr. Brain is anything but dull. This time around, our delightfully daffy doctor has placed his intelligence into the brain of Rathbone, his laboratory rat. As one might expect, this leads to some rather interesting puzzles. The traditional maze is negotiated by programming a figure to negotiate it, while familiar tunes must be unscrambled from their musical staffs. Featuring adjustable difficulty levels, a nice rendition of Sierra's cartoon-style art, and peppered with jokes throughout, this is one children's game for the 10-year-old in all of us. With the exception of chess, Monopoly is the most well-known board game of all time, and unlike previous versions, this one brings you to the computer boardwalk in style. A pretty tough opponent, all the popular options like what to do with free parking, and even internet play that converts pfennigs, pesos, and pounds to US dollars, what more could you ask for in this timeless rendition of an old favorite? Berkeley Systems has long been known for entertaining screensavers, but their tongue-in-cheek humor takes a quantum leap in You Don't Know Jack. Irreverent, saucy, and laced with biting social commentary, especially the brilliant fake commercials, this is the warped game trivia show we've always wanted to see.
And the winner is...
You Don't Know Jack. The only possible complaint one could raise about this game is that you'll eventually run out of the maniacally inspired questions, a problem easily resolved by the release of add-on discs and a deluxe version. You Don't Know Jack is not for the prudish or easily offended, but it will entertain anyone who enjoys seeing sacred cows being tipped over.
Role-playing games are a subset of adventure games which stress character or skill development, conversations, and usually combat.
I once played in the role-playing championship of the world. Many people were killed.
I seriously doubt it.
Are you sure about that?
Very.
I knew a blonde like you once, drove me to drink. For that I shall be eternally grateful.
Good. So, if you're through with role-playing for a while, let's get on with the ceremony.
Presenting the Role-Playing Game of the Year award is Ms. Charlotte Panther, CGW Editorial Assistant.
The finalists for the Role-Playing Game of the Year are New World Computing and Dreamforge Entertainment for Anvil of Dawn, whose huge world, intriguing magic system, offbeat non-player characters, and solid design create a satisfying role-playing experience. Interplay Productions for Stonekeep, the long-awaited first-person role-playing game. Its marvelous voice acting, innovative 3D realms, and creative use of digitized images makes Stonekeep a worthy finalist.
And the winner is...
Anvil of Dawn. The huge role-playing world, intriguing non-player characters, fascinating system built of 7 different disciplines, and intense challenging combat make Anvil of Dawn the top computer role-playing game for this marketing year.
Computer Gaming World's covers are often dominated by powerful air combat vehicles. That's because simulation games, those highly realistic first-person games played within the simulated cockpits of 3D vehicles, are the games which push our computer systems and challenge the game designers the most. Here is Computer Gaming World's simulation columnist and features editor, Denny Atkin, to introduce the finalists and winner in the simulation category.
This year's finalists for Simulation of the Year are Electronic Arts and Jane's Combat Simulations for Advanced Tactical Fighters. Flawless and balanced multiplayer play via network or modem make this title a blast to play with friends and enemies alike. Ocean for EF2000, a jet fighter simulation with jaw-dropping graphics. Philips and Jaeger Software for Fighter Duel, a World War II sim notable for top-notch flight models and adrenaline-pumping head-to-head play. Papyrus for IndyCar 2, a fine-tuned version of the classic racing sim that laps its predecessors with much better AI and superb road handling. And SSI for SU-27 Flanker, the Russian-designed jet simulation with physics, AI, and mission complexity to keep even the most hardcore sim pilots sweating.
And the winner is...
EF2000. The graphics and sound alone are miles above any other sims, and the systems and weapons modeling of this 21st century fighter are dead on. Even more important, the innovative dynamic campaign environment makes for a combat arena with lasting challenges.
This year, we've broken the simulation category into 2 genres, Simulation of the Year for realistic simulation games, and Space Simulation of the Year for those seeming realistic portrayals of technologies not yet available. Here is Computer Gaming World's simulation columnist and features editor, Denny Atkin, to introduce the finalists and winner in the Space Simulation category.
Activision's long-delayed MechWarrior 2 is worth the wait. It convincingly put you in the cockpit of a giant robot, not an easy task, and it has a fascinating and challenging mix of missions. Origin's Wing Commander 4 fine-tunes the spacecraft and combat engine you encountered in Wing 3 and wraps it this time with a professionally produced live-action show where your decisions really do affect the fate of the universe. The acting, cinematography, and soundtrack of the live-action portions of this game transcend the multi-mediocre and really make this game feel like interactive cinema.
The winner is
MechWarrior 2. These simulations have backed up their in-cockpit action with an environment as immersive as that found here, and none have succeeded so well in drawing you into the underlying storyline.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
And with that unwelcome interruption, we turn to the realm of sports.
This is Howard Kersmell, the Emperor of Erudition, the Lord of Loquaciousness, here to present, without benefit of sophomoric ornamentation, the sports game of the year. Fortunately, we have better news than that, because here to present the finalist and winner of CGW Sports Game of the Year is CD-ROM and news editor Jill Anderson.
Traditional sports combine skill, strategy, coordination, and, according to some of my friends, is defined by strenuous physical activity. According to this definition, you must break a sweat in order to be considered playing a sport. Anything less is just an activity. If you adhere to this definition, then computer sports games are merely activities along the lines of fishing or golfing, both of which happen to make it to this year's list of finalists in the sports genre. Sports games include both action games, where the player literally controls on-screen players, and strategy games, where the players coach the on-screen teams. Successfully combining first-person simulation, multiple camera angles, record-keeping, statistics, strategy, and action, 1995 was a very good year for the sports genre, fishing and golfing simulations included. This year's finalists in the sports game genre are Front Page Sports Football Pro by Sierra Online. This 4-star game is, according to our new sports columnist Dennis McCauley, still the best pigskin simulation on the market. Sierra used motion capture technology to digitize the movements of the players and created a realistic football simulation game. NBA Live by Electronic Arts Sports Division. A favorite of CGW's former sports game editor George Jones, this game filled what was once the vast wasteland that was basketball built for the PC. NHL Hockey, also by Electronic Arts Sports Division. According to CGW contributor Gordon Goebel, this game will skate circles around even its own beloved pedigree and permanently transform computer hockey. The game sports cheers and jeers from a resonant crowd, the melody of rink music, and the sound of large, lanky bodies colliding. It's all here, even the fighting. PGA Tour Golf by Electronic Arts. This game lets the player tee up against his favorite pro golfer. You can regulate your swing with the graceful power arc that allows you to control topspin, backspin, fades, and draws. EA has disposed of the cartoon-looking golfers and replaced them with realistic characters and has incorporated impressive 3D graphics. Title Fight Pro Boxing by CompuSports. This remarkably realistic simulation rates boxers on several different criteria and lets you play against some of the real heavyweights. Terry Coleman, Computer Gaming World's reviews editor, says that some fighters hug more than a pair of diapers while others float like winged insects. A definite must for boxing fans. And finally, Trophy Bass by Sierra Online. For all of you activity-inclined sportsmen, this game was endorsed by the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society and probably by animal rights protection groups. This is one of my personal favorites due to its singular presence. Trophy Bass is the complete package for the virtual fisherman. It has lake statistics, a depth finder, a bottomless tackle box, and, of course, your hands never get slimy.
the winner is...
NBA Live by EA Sports. NBA Live 96 is meatier and more intuitive than its predecessor. It sports a 3D court, on-court perspectives, and better AI. NBA Live 96 lets you customize players. It has animated play diagrams. It lets you perform power dunks, and it has amazing animation.
Perhaps the biggest surprise in the last year has been the increase in the number of quality strategy games available and the concomitant increase in strategy game sales to be found in what was once considered to be merely a niche market. Strategy games are those titles which involve problem solving along with short and/or long-range planning. Resource and risk management are the hallmarks of this style of game.
Presenting the finalists and winner for Strategy Game of the Year is strategy editor Elliot Chin.
If you've ever wanted to test your management and command skills in ancient, war-torn battlefields, or in the far reaches of space, or deep in the magic paths of forgotten realms, then strategy games are probably your calling. Strategy games generally involve problem-solving, short and long-range planning, and resource and risk management. Some of the best games ever made for the PC belong to this category, among them Civilization, SimCity, XCOM, and Warcraft. This year's finalists for the Best Strategy Game of the Year will take you into magical fantasy realms populated by orcs, wizards, and skaven, or catapult you into a near future torn apart by war. Here they are in alphabetical order. Caesar 2. Managing the Roman Empire isn't easy, but it is fun and absorbing in Caesar 2, a three-tiered game where you must manage Roman cities, maintain provinces, and deal with the emperor himself. Building cities and watching them run properly are the best parts of this game, but the entire package is a rewarding foray into the ancient Roman Empire. Command & Conquer, the next finalist, is the offspring of Dune 2, and its real-time action ensures that it's always fast and fun. Here you command either the Global Defense Initiative or the subversive Nod Brotherhood for control of the precious mineral Tiberium and the world. Games set in fantasy realms always do well, and Fantasy General could be the best of the fantasy lot. Using SSI's brilliant Panzer General interface, this game takes you into the war-torn world of air, where you must battle against the fiendish forces of the Shadow Lord, commanding dozens of unique troops like fire beetles, flying snakes, and werebears. Another fantasy strategy game is Heroes of Might and Magic, a 5-star game. I've seen 7-year-olds grasp this game, so this is definitely an easy game to learn, but to beat this game is another matter entirely. You'll need your wits about you to win in Heroes of Might and Magic, as the computer opponents are incredibly challenging. Whereas Fantasy General is combat intensive, Heroes involves more exploration and discovery, as you send your forces to explore the world, searching for magic items and resources to build your castles. Warcraft 2 is, of course, the sequel to Warcraft, and takes the battle for the magical realm of Azeroth to the air and sea. New units like dragons, elven destroyers, and death knights are here, and scenarios now take you onto the sea and across the oceans to new lands, where dwarves and elves and goblins and trolls have joined in the fight. Taking the tabletop fantasy world of Warhammer and putting it on the computer screen is no small feat, but Mindscape has done precisely that with Warhammer, The Shadow of the Horned Rat, a real-time fantasy game where you control a band of mercenaries through numerous battles as you attempt to stop the designs of the rat men called the Skaven.
And the winner is...
2 winners. Our strategy game of the year is a tie between Heroes of Might and Magic and Command & Conquer. While Heroes might lack a more involving campaign, it is still a great game with challenging opponents, a multitude of scenarios to play, many units, and different sides to play. Throw in massive worlds filled with monsters and treasure, and a nice castle building aspect, and you have a great strategy game, worthy of the Strategy Game of the Year mantle. But Heroes isn't alone. Command & Conquer, though suffering its own share of small problems, has enough going for it to also win the coveted title. It is real-time warfare that works, with fast, harried action. CNC has a good science fiction storyline, 2 distinctly different sides to play with different units, a great soundtrack, and a wonderful campaign.
And now, here's Wargame columnist and reviews editor Terry Coleman to present the finalists and winner of the Wargame of the Year.
The ways in which real warriors practice and hone their craft vary from planet to planet. Earthlings tend to be more cerebral warriors. They recreate conflicts from their violent history in both real-time and turn-based formats. Finalists for this year's Outstanding Achievement in Wargames are significant in that they are all turn-based, rather than real-time, yet each brings a degree of freshness and creativity to the genre. Battleground Gettysburg by Talonsoft brings elements of board games and miniatures to the computer. The accurate modeling of Civil War leaders makes Lee, Longstreet, Buford, and others come alive on the battlefield. The tactics are authentic enough that you may relive the bitter struggle for Little Round Top, or the tragedy of Pickett's Charge, all highlighted by Charlie Kibler's sumptuous Battleview graphics. Simply put, this is the best computer game on the American Civil War in nearly a decade. Custer's Last Command is a game full of hard questions and tough-as-nails answers. The game is crisp, clean, and unyielding, realistic, and yet still enjoyable. History buffs will thrill to the amount of well-researched historical alternatives available in the game that both Custer and Crazy Horse had at their disposal. A fine game that positions incredible simulations as a company willing to tackle controversial subjects and having the talent to pull it off. It is difficult to believe, but Panthers in the Shadows is the product of one man, Scott Hamilton, the wargamer's wargamer. So complex that even grognards find it intimidating, Panthers gives unparalleled realism for its steep learning curve. If you've ever wondered why Shermans dreaded facing Tiger tanks, why there weren't more flamethrowers passed out to U.S. troops, or whether changes in barometric pressure really had an effect on scatter effect of artillery rounds, this is the wargame for you. Raw Entertainment takes chances and publishes obscure games with often interesting results. A good example of this is Rise of the West, minimalist entertainment at its best. A tough AI and unique strategic and historical perspective are marred only by a lack of network play. Still, this computer version of Jim Dunnigan's Empires of the Middle Ages board game honors that classic and shows that many of the older designs still have a lot of gaming life remaining. Steel Panthers by SSI is the return of Gary Grigsby to the status of wargaming deity. While the game retains a turn-based structure, it goes beyond the stale conventions of the form by slicing the battle into turns representing 2 minutes and tossing in hidden units, support, and opportunity fire. The action is brisk, unpredictable, and violent. Smoke, wrecked vehicles, and shattered formations litter the landscape, making the World War II battlefield seem much closer than your computer screen.
And the winner is...
The majesty of Steel Panthers is simply incredible. Those looking at its beauty often have trouble believing that it is indeed a wargame. It is remarkably realistic yet eminently playable. Easily the best tactical World War II game ever designed for the computer, it points to a direction where future computer wargames may aspire.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Except, of course, for you twits who pressed the Game of the Year button first, spoiling the surprise and wasting this otherwise memorable occasion with a meaningless and redundant exercise of unnecessary proportion.
This year's Computer Gaming World Game of the Year is...
The Beast Within, Gabriel Knight 2. Jane Jensen's intricate and clever storyline sets the stage for a graphic adventure full of innovation. Not only does The Beast Within feature a unique look with its integrated photography and video, but it offers powerful symbolism, subtle wordplay, clever puzzles, excellent acting, and the widest variety and styles of clues which we can ever remember seeing in a computer game. Satisfying on so many different levels, The Beast Within, Gabriel Knight 2 is destined to be a classic in the best sense of the word.